Yeah, you hear about them parties? Nah, that wasn't for me. No, sir.
What's that? That's Mauve King?
Niggas feeling marvelous.
You gotta get the shoes though. Y'all know what it is. Whee! I see you, King. I see you, King.
Beanie Sigel was the shit, nigga.
Yeah, he was fired.
And they would only let Beanie Sigel only sell so many records. This came from an executive at
Roc-A-Fella.
Roc-A-Fella, because I knew everybody. And they would only let Benny sell so many records. And that was it. And they wouldn't push it no more. But Benny, they would you couldn't be bigger than Jay-Z on Jay-Z's label.
The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, alleges that rapper Jay-Z, along with Diddy, indecently assaulted her at a New York house party in the year 2000, following the MTV Video Music Awards.
Holmes attended the award show with his then girlfriend, Jennifer Lopez.
Baby, you okay?
Beanie Sigel just put Jay-Z on notice. Was it a warning tied to the Diddy trial? It's been years since Beanie Sigel first warned the world about the cracks in Jay-Z's armor. But now, with Diddy's trial heating up and names allegedly being passed around behind closed doors, Beanie's voice has suddenly taken on a chilling new relevance. Once considered a loyal soldier in Jay's Roc-A-Fella empire, Beanie is now speaking out again, and the timing couldn't be more unsettling. Rumors are flying that Diddy, facing potential life in prison, is preparing to cut a deal with the feds. And according to insiders, that deal may involve exposing people in the industry with skeletons just as dark as his own. Allegedly, Jay-Z's name has been whispered among those Diddy might offer up. And right in the middle of all this, Beanie Sigel, resurfacing old wounds and delivering cryptic warnings that suggest what's about to come out, could completely shake the legacy of hip-hop's most powerful players. So, what does Beanie really know? And why is he choosing now to bring it back up? Let's start with the courtroom chaos that's surrounded Diddy over the past few months. With new allegations piling up and federal agents raiding his homes in Los Angeles and Miami, the music mogul's empire is teetering. Legal experts say he could be facing decades, or even life, if convicted on the more serious charges. But what makes this even more dramatic is that multiple sources claim Diddy may be cooperating with prosecutors behind the scenes. And if those claims are true, it's not just Diddy who should be worried. Whispers from within the industry point to a growing list of big-name associates Diddy might try to trade in for leniency. And topping that alleged list, none other than Jay-Z. Now let's be clear, no official documents have confirmed that Jay is under investigation, and Jay's legal team has firmly denied any connection to Diddy's case. But that hasn't stopped the speculation from spiraling, especially since Jay's attorney Alex Spiro issued a rare public statement clarifying that Jay and Diddy weren't even friends. That comment alone raised more eyebrows than it settled, because for years the two were seen at events, parties, and award shows together. So for Jay to distance himself now, fans saw that as cold. And Beanie Sigel noticed too. Beanie, who once shared the stage in the streets with Jay during Roc-A-Fella's most dominant years, has started reappearing in interviews and resurfacing quotes, reminding everyone just how complicated their history really is. His tone isn't just critical, it's warning. According to Beanie, Jay has always known how to protect his image, even if it meant leaving his closest allies behind. And if Diddy is really about to spill everything, Beanie seems to think Jay should be nervous. But this isn't the first time Beanie's loyalty to Jay ended in betrayal. Back in the early 2000s, Beanie wasn't just another artist on the Roc-A-Fella label, he was its backbone. He repped the streets, gave the brand edge, and played a key role in pushing state property as a serious movement. He even starred in films under the Roc-A-Fella banner, expanding the brand beyond music. But then, in 2004, the empire started crumbling. Jay-Z and Dame Dash fell out over control of the company, and Beanie was stuck in the middle. What followed was a sharp, painful shift in priorities. And Beanie, once considered family, quickly became expendable. It gets even worse when you look at what happened next. Beanie was arrested and hit with serious federal charges, including weapons violations that could have landed him behind bars for up to 40 years.
Right now I'm facing weapons violations, attempted murder. They try and get a boy 20 to 40 years. They came to me with a deal. Their deal was 18 to 36 years. Of course, I turned it down.
But in a now infamous court moment, Beanie says Jay-Z, his so-called brother, refused to help. While others gave character statements and tried to support Beanie's bid for bail, Jay was asked one simple question by the judge. Would he take responsibility for Beanie's whereabouts if released? And in Beanie's own words, Jay looked down, shook his head, and said no. For Beanie, that moment changed everything. Shackled in court, looking up at someone he thought would ride for him, he realized the relationship was never what he believed, and it cut deep. Beanie has since described it as one of the most crushing moments of his life. That betrayal stuck with him. It wasn't just about business, it was personal. And that's why Beanie's warnings now feel so different. This isn't just some old grudge, it's the reemergence of something that's never been resolved. But it didn't stop in that courtroom. As Roc-A-Fella split and Jay moved on to become president of Def Jam, Beanie found himself iced out completely. His album, The Becoming, largely recorded while he was dealing with court cases, didn't get the push it needed. Beanie claims Jay blocked him from doing outside deals, and even accused Jay of timing his own album drops to clash with Beanie's, cutting off his momentum each time he tried to shine. Whether those moves were intentional or just business is still up for debate, but the pattern was enough to convince Beanie that Jay didn't just abandon him, he actively sabotaged him. And by 2009, Beanie had had enough. He dropped What You Talkin' Bout, a diss track aimed directly at Jay-Z, where he accused him of being fake, calculating, and cold. In interviews, Beanie went even further, claiming Jay had ordered increased security at events due to a supposed threat from Beanie himself, something Beanie says was a lie used to justify distancing himself from the brand he helped build. Jay, on the other hand, mostly brushed it off. In an interview at the time, he said Beanie had a label, a clothing line, and 2 Bentleys. And if that wasn't enough, maybe the problem wasn't with him. But that dismissive tone only added fuel to the fire. To Beanie, this wasn't about money or business deals. It was about loyalty, respect, and brotherhood. And when Jay seemed to act like Beanie was just another bitter ex-employee, it only made Beanie more vocal. But over time, even Beanie started to reflect on his own choices. In more recent interviews, he's admitted that he made mistakes too, particularly in choosing Jay over Dame Dash. In fact, Dame Dash has publicly said he was preparing to build state property into the future of Roc-A-Fella. He had 4 or 5 albums lined up for Beanie, even while Beanie was facing time. Dame believed in him, and when Beanie chose Jay instead, Dame said it felt like a betrayal.
Beans was getting ready. We thought he was going to go to jail for a couple of years. He was on trial. So I was trying to make 4 albums for him, or 5. I was more bothered when Beans chose to go with Jay. That one hurt, because I'd done a lot and prepared. I chose State Property over Rockware, and I wanted to just roll out with State Property. But it almost like he tricked Beans to shelf him, and he f***ed his life up to me doing that. But I had him, you know what I mean? Like, that was my new Jay.
Looking back, Beanie agreed. He said that Dame was accessible, hands-on, and genuine. He pulled up in South Philly with bags for Beanie's mom, supported him in court, and never tried to shelf him. If Dame had mapped out a plan, Beanie now believes he would have followed it. And maybe everything would have turned out differently.
Dame actually came and got me when I got out of prison. And we was on a tour bus, and they was interviewing me. And they asked me then and there on a bus. Now I'm just getting out of prison. Like, he at the jail picked me up. And they posed that question that I was, or made the statement that I was going to be with Dame Dash Music Group. And I said then that I didn't want to make that choice between Jay or Dame. I just wanted to stay neutral. I believe if we had those conversations, I believe I would have rolled with Dame. I'd have rocked with Dame. Yeah, if Dame set me down and he had a plan, regardless what the plan was, and mapped it out like this was going to do, the smartest decision at that time for me would have rolled with Dame, because Dame was more accessible than Jay was. Dane was in the office every day. You could talk to Dane. You know what I mean? Dane used to come and chill on the block in South Philly. You know what I mean? Dane pull up in Biggs at Mom Duke's spot. So, yeah, I think if we would have sat and he would have showed me and explained to me, you know, our business plan and what we was going to do, that would have been an easy decision.
But that's what makes all of this even more tragic, because Beanie wasn't just betrayed once. He was forced to relive that betrayal every time Jay dropped a new album, climbed another level in the corporate ladder, or polished his public image as a clean, calculated businessman. Meanwhile, Beanie was left in the shadows, still dealing with the fallout from the choices they both made. And what makes this situation so wild is that Beanie never really disappeared. He stayed in the culture, kept doing interviews, kept dropping hints. But now, with Diddy allegedly on the verge of flipping and possibly naming names, suddenly all those quiet warnings feel like thunder. Because if even half of what insiders are speculating turns out to be true, Jay-Z could be facing a very different kind of scrutiny. Not necessarily legal charges, but the kind of exposure that could destroy reputations. And Beanie seems to think that what's coming next is only the beginning. Let's not forget, Beanie was there in the 90s when Jay and Diddy were building their empires. He saw who was at the parties. He knew who was protected when the feds started circling. He was part of those backroom conversations, the deals that weren't written down, and the code that everyone was supposed to follow. And now that code may be breaking down. If Diddy really is ready to trade secrets for freedom, then everything Jay built could be up for re-examination. And the public is watching closely, because while Jay has spent decades mastering the art of staying clean, avoiding drama, and moving in silence, people like Beanie remember what happened behind the scenes. Beanie knows the deals that didn't make headlines. He knows who got left behind when the brand moved forward. And that's why when Beanie says, "Jay better run while there's still time," it doesn't sound like a threat. It sounds like someone who's seen this play out before. Someone who knows what's coming when loyalty disappears and the masks fall off. There's also something poetic about Beanie being the one to bring all this full circle. Because for years he was painted as the angry one, the bitter one, the problem child of the Roc. But as time goes on, more people are starting to see his side of the story. Not just fans, but even industry insiders who once kept their distance. Dame Dash has backed up many of Beanie's claims, openly calling out Jay for manipulating the system, cutting deals behind the scenes, and controlling narratives to protect his own legacy. And while Jay has remained largely silent, that silence is starting to feel louder, especially now when his longtime associate is facing life in prison and federal investigators are digging into decades worth of connections and transactions. Jay's legal team can deny involvement all they want, and they should if there's no real connection, but the court of public opinion doesn't move the same way as a courtroom. It only takes one leaked document, one recorded statement, or one unexpected testimony to flip everything upside down. And Beanie? He seems ready for it. In one of his most emotional interviews, Beanie described the moment in court when Jay told the judge he wouldn't vouch for his whereabouts. Beanie said it felt like the life left his body. He wasn't asking Jay to take the fall. He just needed someone to say, "I got you." And in that moment, Jay said no. Now, whether you think that was a smart business move or a personal betrayal is up to interpretation. But for Beanie, it confirmed everything he had quietly feared, that when things got real, Jay would disappear. And that's what makes today's headlines feel so ironic, because if the Diddy case escalates and real secrets start surfacing, it might be Jay looking around for someone to say, "I got you," and there may be no one left to answer. So what happens next? Well, right now, it's all speculation. No charges have been filed against Jay-Z, no official statements have linked him directly to any of Diddy's legal battles. But the narrative is shifting. Fans are talking, insiders are whispering, and Beanie Sigel, once silenced, once sidelined, is suddenly back in the spotlight, telling a story that now feels eerily relevant. Because if what Diddy knows ends up becoming public record, and if Jay's name ends up being dragged through the mud by association, everything Beanie's been saying for the last decade might finally make sense to the rest of the world. And maybe then people will stop asking why he's still talking about it, and start asking why nobody listened sooner. And here's the thing, this isn't just a story about two rappers beefing. It's about power, loyalty, and legacy. It's about what happens when the business of music overshadows the brotherhood that built it. Jay-Z built an empire, no doubt. But in the process, some of the people who helped lay the foundation feel like they got buried under it. And now, with the heat turning up on everyone connected to that old era, it's looking more and more like the past isn't going to stay. Buried. Whether Jay comes out clean or not, one thing is clear. This Diddy trial isn't just about Diddy. It's about the entire ecosystem that allowed him to thrive for so long. And Beanie Siegel's voice might be the one reminder that no matter how far you climb, the people you stepped over on the way up never really go away. So what do you think? Is Beanie finally getting vindicated? Is Jay-Z really in the clear? Or is this just the calm before a much bigger storm? And if Diddy does start naming names, how far will this go? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. We're just getting started.